The men's basketball program here is extremely important to everyone. In the last few years, they've underperformed, and they haven't met those expectations. With that said, Jake Diebler is coming in for his first full season. What are the expectations for the program this year, and then also looking ahead to the following years?
Yeah. I think here at Ohio State, we want to win. We want to win in everything, right? Whether it's pistol, we won 4 national championships in a row, or women's ice hockey's won 2 out of the last 3. And so, expectations, I think, for any sport are to compete. But basketball has a really unique history. And we've shown in sort of a recent modern era that we can get to the Final Four, and we can be right there on the dance floor. Under Thad Matta, we were right there, right? And so we know we have the ingredients. We know every time that I turned around during our coaching search, people kept asking, how come Ohio State hasn't got back to where Thad Matta had it? And I don't know all the answers other than let's get the right people. And so when we did the coaching search, that led us to Jake. I saw Jake up close and personal. I didn't know Jake Diebler at all going into my tenure here at Ohio State. And when Gene made the change, he told me he was going to make Jake the interim coach. You're going to love Jake, his energy. And sure enough, when I met him on March 3rd, I said, okay, I'm going to keep my eye on this, but we're also going to do a national search. And really the expectations is that we're in the hunt. We're in the hunt for a Big Ten championship. We're in the hunt to make a long run in the NCAA tournament. Is that going to be easy? No. But our schedule, our preseason schedule, we're playing Texas. We're playing Texas A&M, Auburn, Kentucky, Pitt. Those kind of games, and then you go into the Big Ten play, those kind of games will prepare you for a postseason run. And the teams that have guard play usually do well in March, and we have a deep backcourt. And so I think our team is built for excitement, for fun, for high energy, for up-tempo. That kind of fits Jake's mentality. So I think our fans are in for a treat in the first year. How many games we're going to win? Nobody knows. Do I think we'll be really, really competitive and in the conversation? Absolutely. And Jake feels the same way.
And then you mentioned it, but Jake was really the first time you were involved in a hiring here. You worked alongside Gene, but what was that process like for you to be, in the hiring process for the first time at Ohio State?
Yeah. Gene and I had met the end of January. We were at a national conference, and I'd ask him, I said, hey, Gene, is there any sports on the radar for the spring that you might be thinking about, any sort of coaching decisions? And he said he was just worried about basketball, that he just felt that we just were not making the right kind of progress. And so, right, light bulb goes off. You start to do a little research. I was not here in Ohio. I was still back in Texas. And he called me, I don't know, the 12th or 13th of February and just kind of laid out, hey, look, I think this might be happening. And I said, okay, so much for my month-long sabbatical during my transition. But honestly, not being here for 3 weeks or so, it allowed me to totally do research. We didn't have to be in a rush. We had plenty of time to conduct a search once I did get on the ground. And so I talked to at least 20 players, former players, that maybe I wouldn't have spoken to them at that time period anyway. Maybe I would have met them later. Maybe I would have met them when I started after July the 1st, right? But I was able to speak to former players. I was able to learn our hiring processes. I was able to learn how do we work contracts, what does HR look like, what's the board of trustee layer in terms of approving contracts and the compensation committee. I was able to learn all of that really just right from the beginning, and I think that set me up for understanding, a lot of the dynamics here in terms of how things work. So that piece, the logistical piece, was awesome. But it also helped validate in the marketplace what people think of Ohio State athletics. Basketball obviously was the search, but we kept hearing from so many people that Ohio State has this elevated brand, this elevated stature in college athletics. And so you kind of hear that, you understand that. When I got the job, right, I understood that. But to hear that validated through kind of the marketplace was really, really fascinating to kind of hear that and see that firsthand. And then just getting to know Jake and getting to understand what he was built for, how he thought about this job. Really, it's a dream job being an Ohio guy. He always said he wasn't good enough to play here. His brother was, but he wasn't. And so this was a dream job being an Ohio guy. And so that really made an impact on me to say, look, we got somebody who cares. and we have somebody who's going to be embraced by the fans, but then who can also do it at the highest level. And so the process, I think, just there's so many layers to it that really helped me, I think, get acclimated even quicker.